Hello and welcome. Let's take a look at Bitcoin Cash on the Bittrex exchange as at around 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time, trading in at 0.1613 as we're looking at the 15-minute time frame. I've heard people talk about things like double tops in a pattern, like something like this. Market goes up, retraces, and whoop, there's a double top. And in my book, that's a retest of previous support. And then you have, to me, this. When it does two of the U-ish V kind of formations, that's where I get the double top, double bottom. And the reason for that is because we can make a case about here's one, here's two. It is so obvious that this is a key level of support now tested on 3 occasions. As it stands out, it's basically, of course, in the downtrend. So is there going to be another leg lower? And that comes with a question mark. If it is, then breaking down below here, you can probably expect a decent move every time you make a new low. And well, it's only had really two legs lower. There was this one, the correctionary move to 35, and then this one, which spun all the way down towards here. It's corrected long enough through sideways action where if it goes down, breaks what's a key support, well, that would classify as yet another leg higher, or lower rather. So therefore, to reverse the trend, it's got to do some sort of attempt above the 18 average of highs. For the first one, established resistance. It broke it for just one small leg. Well, that's really a failed move. It's already had its fast move. It resisted it here, but not really. Same deal, same deal, and again, same deal. So every single time it has come up to this area, it has been resisted lower. Thus, these lines that I've drawn represent the lower highs within this market. We've now seen a situation in which there's a higher low and a matching to that higher low as well, showing this neutrality indecision. A lot of times these form to the trend within this market, but quite frankly, when the market is as new as it is, it had a huge rise higher. It's been in this bear market for many periods now. I don't know how you define what the trend is. When I had first understanding of Bitcoin Cash and how it was going to play out, you're getting free BCC, basically like a dividend. And it was, I was told it's like $200, and this was days before this happened. And I'm thinking, okay, if it's $200 and Bitcoin's in the 25, 26, 2700, that works out to a 7% dividend right there. That's not too shabby at all. Well, it obviously worked out to a much larger one, and I figured it was just gonna go down. So I figured, you know what, it's probably gonna go to $50, and it still might go to some really insane levels. This thing is new. It's going to be moving in wild, choppy movements. I've been playing some sweet movement gains and within short periods of time. It's obviously not the greatest of day trading moves, like of course it was before with these massive movements that we've been having. And my basic strategy is just put buy orders in when it go for lower prices and sell orders in for higher prices. It's basically that simple. And in bull markets, you want to put buy orders that represent higher lows. In sideways markets, you want to put buy orders that represent matching lows. And in bear markets, you want to put in lower lows. So I've got bear market status for this. I had a buy order in at 160 that came in. I sold the order here at 181. And after I sold 181, my intention is to buy the exact same amount that I sold back, but not for a matching low, not for a higher low, but a lower low. So I'll put a buy order in at $1.25 or 0.125, and then again lower than that, 0.1, 0.8, and then try to sell for the higher level. Now, generally speaking, I can tell right now that if I'm buying this lower, I know where I'm selling. I'm selling where it came from. And this to me is a big level of support. So any move or any situation in which I am buying lower than this price, if I'm going in looking to buy at $1.25, and I'm going to be looking to sell this back at about $1.60, I look at that as a gain of 35 basis points on 12. That's roughly near 30%. And this is tame compared to what this was a couple days ago and even yesterday, where you were able to pick off even bigger gains than that. But that's general way on how I am looking at it. All right, so now and I don't know how well Fibonacci is going to work on this when you got this trading at wild different levels amongst different exchanges. But if we work within this high and this low, on any correction, assuming that we're going to bottom at this point, I'm looking at the 38.2 and the 61.8 levels, which I hope that I put this in log scale, I think it is, would generally be somewhere amongst this area in here. This would be a bit lower probably. Let's just calculate it now and see. And the answer is 24, so yeah, a little bit lower on this line. And yeah, it was lower on the 35. 31, 37 actually, so roughly around in here. So my general rule of thumb would be if you're just looking for basic strategy, if you know this low comes in play, and that's a very much a must situation, and it rallies from this point, one of the things I'd be looking for is maybe a sell at 38.2 with a buyback at 23.6. And that's assuming you think it's going to stay in a bull market. As well as a sell at the 61.8 with a buyback at the 38.2. So that means you will be placing a sell order. You can see that the number would be 2021, so somewhere around that area. Well, actually, in this case, if you put a sell order there, you'd be looking to buy back at previous key resistance. No, rather you'd put a sell order in at 24, looking to buy back at 20. So that's one strategy that I look at. So that would be, and then the other one is you put a sell order in at around 31.50, looking to buy it back at 2,400 after it sells. Now, if this thing rolls over, then I got a range here of 1540 and 4871. So therefore, that number would be reduced to whatever the new low happens to be, which means all of these numbers would head south a little bit. So you, instead of 3137, maybe it'd go down to 3000 or something there, and maybe 2200 or 2100 on the next one. As well as a situation, if this is the up or down target, I'm looking for an up move, an up market having a good down correction to validate an up target, and vice versa down. So this move to 45 validated an up move, and this most certainly validates a price correction. So it's no matter what, whether the low happens to be 1540 or something lower, it's as long as it's a higher, a good enough, decent low, it's going to count enough for me as such. And we can see the up target on this happens to be, well, that says 99.24, which would be par with the price of Bitcoin. Now, that in itself is so insane to justify. And maybe, again, because, like I stated, this market is traded on multiple exchanges at whacked up different prices. And that's a recipe to happen when you have your funds basically so you can't withdraw them. Or deposit them. All you can do pretty much is buy and sell them on the exchange. So that's why you get those weird prices. So will that come into play? And then there's another thing. If you see this one priced so much higher than the other ones, then that means one of two things should have to occur. Either this one's they're going to have to price correct each other to form. So either this one has to go down to meet another exchange's lower price. Say it's trading and it has been lower, say around 0.10. So this would go lower, or the 0.10 would rise higher to match this 0.16. That is bound to happen as well. Now, I don't know when this all fixes up and wallets are fine, if you can send BCC to another exchange that has BCH when it's the same thing. That's an interesting question that I can't answer, but there's the analysis and a bit more that I was planning on giving for this video. So I hope you find this helpful, and I'll be back in the morning with the 2.5 minute warning. Take care.